All right.
All right. It's great to have you, Richard. I think this is the first time we've ever spoken.
Yes, it is. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to see you. And I wanted to speak about the Russia Ukraine stuff because we've kind of come to the same conclusions on that topic. You used to be more on the pro Russia side, and you've changed your position to some degree. But let's first get into the alt right thing. So, what led you like away from that scene? Was there any? I saw an interview clip where you said that there was a lot of like disgusting type people. The grug
Greeks, yeah, it
grug
should have
thing.
always
Yeah,
been
yeah,
about me. Sure. Sure,
yeah.
yes. I
The grug
mean,
thing. I kind of agree
rather
with that.
arrogant and a rather arrogant thing to say, but maybe not wrong.
Yeah, there's like this skinhead trailer park faction. I don't know if you were aware of all that stuff back. You met some of these like tons of these people right back in the day. So what do you make of that
Yeah.
faction of it?
Well, I mean, there is that faction. I think there was in 2016 through 2018 thereabouts. I think COVID might be a sort of bookend on that period, but there was a kind of new version of that, and it guys who were into weightlifting, martial arts clubs, and basically they wanted to fight. And that, I guess, is manly on some level, but I think it's something that you should be suspicious of. A lot of psychopathic personality types are really attracted to radical movements or extreme movements, not in spite of the fact that you might, anger your neighbors or offend your grandmother or get in a fight, but because of that. That's almost the feature and not the bug. And they are genuinely attracted like a moth to a flame to something that is deemed evil, uh, or
Yeah.
dark, etc., illegal. And I think it's very problematic. I mean, I think that was a big problem with the alt right in general. It went from 0 to 60 in 2.2 seconds flat, but it wasn't really a car with an engine or full of fuel that it could have uh, taken a journey somewhere. And I think a lot of that was its lack of any sort of coherent ideology. And outside of Trump, really, I mean, it was Trump. We we're white or mostly white, and some of us think the Jews are up to no good, and some of us don't. And women
Right.
are kind of terrible too, but we don't really have something coherent to say about that. And I think but that lack of ideology, I think, emerged from what it was. I mean, I created a website in 2010 called alternativeright.com. And there was a lot of interesting discussion going on there. We we would have a article by Kevin McDonald. We'd have an article on paganism. I would write on politics and sports, and we had a lot of interesting
Right.
discussion going on. There's something happening, something emerging, you could say, but it was all fledgling, and I was doing very similar things with Radix Journal, which was just sort of a continuation, basically, of AlternativeRight.com. And but I'm not positive that's really where the alt right came from. I do think the alt right emerged more precisely from 4chan and related, groups like that. And I think it emerged to a large extent from a place called TRS, which is still around to some degree, the right stuff.
Yeah, the schizos.
Enoch and
Yeah.
company. Yeah, I mean, you could call them a lot of different things. But there was something positive about it. I mean, just to be fair, the the outrageous quality of the Daily Show, a podcast, and the fact that they were sort of open to anyone and everyone, and they would do a parody song, they would have a serious discussion, they would make fun of people. There's something kind of positive about that in a jock way. But I think the problem with the alt right as well was that everyone had a podcast, and you received authority because you were either most outrageous or basically had the most popular show or something like that. Now, I
Hmm.
understand that as a metric, but I think it can be a very bad metric. And so I don't think there was a lot of coherence to the alt right. I remember in right before the Charlottesville rally, I issued like a 20-point "This is who we are" type thing, and I would stand by a lot of it for the most part. Some things I've evolved on, but that was sort of an attempt to nail feces to the chapel door, but to do it in a sort of vague way. I don't think the alt right was ever really contributing something to the intellectual discourse. And what was most powerful about, say, 4chan bots, or and by bots I'm referring to people, and by TRS, was like doing a raid of the comments section, or making David French cry, or yelling at a
Mm.
journalist or something. It was never fundamentally serious. And
Yeah.
the fact that it supported Trump, like the alt right loved Trump and supported Trump. There was this like magical moment where the establishment conservatives hated Trump. National Review, the neocons, et cetera, et cetera. They all hated Trump. And so it was this weird moment where the trolls won. And the trolls could at least somewhat plausibly say, like, we're the future, we're moving forward. Trump listens to us and not you. We know how to win. We understand politics better than you. That's a pretty wild one. But that was a moment in time, and I think that was a moment of delusion in many ways. And if a movement is built in that way, I don't think it can ever get to the point that to a point of a movement that I would really want to be a part of, because you never get past the fact that everyone is pandering to or catering to, Red Eagle 1488 on this Discord server, or Sally who made out with 12 guys at the last conference, and her feelings on the
Yeah.
Jewish question or something. You just never
Right.
get past this mob, and the mob can turn on you. The mob certainly turned on me. Like, whatever. I'm glad the mob turned on me in a way, because I was ejected, and I pulled the ripcord myself. We were a mutual, parting of ways. But I just don't think it can go anywhere, and I'm not really surprised that they're still on the same hamster wheel. 7 years,
Oh yeah.
8 years later. It's just
Yeah. They
it
just
can't go anywhere without leadership. But yeah.